Tonight we bring you coverage of today's Great American Eclipse, where millions experience a rare moment as day turned into night. KGNS on the ground in Eagle Pass capturing the magic of the historic celestial event. Plus, students across our region share their experience firsthand of today's solar eclipse. We hear their unique perspectives and insights on this long-awaited phenomenon. And scientists use today's cosmic event to unlock mysteries about our planet and beyond. These precious minutes are providing crucial insights into space phenomenon.
Coverage you can count on from your good neighbor station. This is KGNS News Evening Edition.
Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jocelyn Gallardo. Millions across North America experience a nearly once-in-a-lifetime celestial occurrence today as the moon crossed paths with the sun, turning day into night. Well, Arliseli Garza is in Eagle Pass in the path of totality for this historic solar event. She kicks off our team coverage this evening. Liseli.
That's right. Here we are in Eagle Pass, Texas. As y'all can see, it is a little bit cloudy outside, but the sun is peeking through. That was the same thing we were experiencing earlier in the day when we were waiting for the total solar eclipse here in Eagle Pass. We're actually at Maverick County Lake. In this area, many people gathered to see the total solar eclipse. People from all over the world. We got to speak to people from Germany, from Israel, people from Mexico that were traveling with their kids to see the total eclipse. This was one of the areas with the longest duration of totality. It was 4 minutes and 23 seconds. The totality started at 1:27 p.m. and ended around 1:31 p.m. Now, during that time of total darkness here at the lake, you can see a total change in animal behavior. The ducks and all the other animals that were in this area, they were kind of hiding. They looked like they were about to go to sleep, doing their nighttime routine. All of the people were here and they were just ready to see the sun. The clouds were a problem at the beginning, but nonetheless, we got to see the change.
I think the clouds offered, a very thin, like a good filter, so it lets you rest between, and then your eyes rest, and then you can see again another snapshot of the course of the sun. So I think it was an incredible experience for me.
There was a slight change in temperature, maybe just a couple degrees. It was fairly windy outside, also making it a little bit chilly. So that was some of the things that we were able to feel here in Eagle Pass, Texas, as well as other people that I got to speak to. They said they enjoyed it, and most of the people that were here, this was their first eclipse, and they decided to come to Eagle Pass because this was one of the places with longest duration in the United States. That's all I have from Eagle Pass, Texas. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Liseli. And it was an event that it was not only experienced in the city of Eagle Pass, but here in the Gateway City. Many people were able and got to experience it partially. A partial eclipse makes the sun look like a crescent. Earlier today, Laredo school districts allowed some of students to step outside the classroom and watch the long-awaited phenomenon. Our Christian Del Rio joins us in the studio and has more about what these students really got to experience today. Christian.
That's right, Jocelyn, and let me tell you that it was an experience like no other. School districts across our area took advantage of this unique eclipse by allowing students to step outside their classrooms. For some students, it was their first time experiencing this natural event. Earlier today, we headed off to Laredo ISD's Shirley Field, where dozens of students gathered around, sit back on the field, and look up to the gaze up in the sky. While we were there, we spoke with some students from Martin High School who told us that it was a great opportunity to experience today's solar eclipse.
It's really, amazing because it's something that has to do with space, and space is just like something that we haven't really fully comprehended yet. So being able to see something like this again in our lifetime is just like, it's a wow factor for me.
It's definitely I'd say a once in a lifetime, thing that you get to experience, and especially us in Laredo, we got lucky. We're pretty close to like where it's the total eclipse is going to occur.
Well, students were also seen taking some notes, as many said it was a valuable school lesson. All school districts in our area, regular school class schedules, and in order to see this phenomenon, students had to turn in a permission slip signed by a parent or a legal guardian. For KGNS News, I'm Christian Del Rio. Yoselin.
All right, thanks, Christian, for that. Coming up in our late edition, teachers share with us how they took advantage of this special day and turned it into a lesson for their students. In other news, the Great American Eclipse also drew a crowd in the heart of downtown Laredo. Dozens of Laredoans made their way to the historic Casa Ortiz, where a watch party welcomed the solar eclipse with music, food, and an international view. Those we spoke to mentioned that the joy and wonder it felt to take into this big occasion, specifically in that kind of setting. Organizers tell us that more than 200 people made it out to today's festivities and are thankful for the community's turnout. The excitement of the event wasn't just confined to just one location, of course. Lake Casablanca, Laredo's only state park, hosted an eclipse viewing party as well at the park's amphitheater. Visitors camped out in the great outdoors equipped with their eclipse glasses, while park officials talked about the science behind this astronomical event. And the solar eclipse began its trek across North America. Some people in Mexico were the first in North America to witness the rare celestial event. A partial solar eclipse was visible in Mazatlan on Mexico's Pacific coast. Totality, when the moon completely blocks the sun, came at 2:07 p.m. Eastern Time. That darkness in the middle of the afternoon lasted for about 4 minutes, while astronomers say the moon cast that 100-mile wide shadow along the path of totality. Not everyone, though, had a shiny day in the path of totality Monday for the Great American Eclipse, but it was still a fun trip for folks to visit one of the nation's most iconic national parks, Niagara Falls in New York. Cloudy throughout the day, even spurts of rain falling on thousands who gathered to see the special solar event. Some of the visitors had booked their accommodation months, even years in advance. Well, the great day put a damper on some. The crowd still gathered from far and wide.
I bought the glasses 9 months ago.
You bought the glasses?
I was all ready for this. I bought a new car to drive over here.
Really?
Well, maybe not just for that reason.
The solar eclipse has always been on my bucket list, and so we kind of missed the one in 2017, and we were a lot closer to this one, so we decided to make the trip up.
In addition to these visitors, there was also a wedding ceremony this morning at the falls for a couple from Indiana. An astronaut was in attendance, and New York's governor was also there, and she made out the trip. Well, at the Dallas Zoo, ostriches, giraffes, and zebras were curious as daylight turned to twilight. Animals showed heightened awareness during the eclipse, with some pausing their usual activities, while others were seen running around their enclosure minutes before the event. It was a fun and educational experience for visitors and zookeepers, showing how animals react to nature's changes. As the breathtaking cosmic event witnessed by millions of Americans draws to a close, well, scientists are taking advantage of those precious 3 to 4 minutes to unlock more clues into our planet and beyond.
Better understanding what's happening at the corona at the start of the action helps us to not only model and predict what could happen in the future, but better protect our spacecraft from space weather events and life on Earth, like our power grids and our communication systems.
The next total solar eclipse across the continental U.S. coast to coast is not expected to happen in the United States until 2045. And now let's take a live look outside and how traffic is moving across this area of Laredo. We're seeing Loop 20 and US 59. Not that hectic out there, completely different probably when the eclipse was happening, but we do continue to see those clouds in our area. Well, still ahead on KGNS News, details emerge as Laredo police shed light on the city's first murder of the year. The latest developments in the case next. We're learning more from Laredo police about the first murder of the year, where a man was reportedly shot 3 times at a local motel Friday night. Laredo police have arrested 34-year-old Jesus Abrego and 32-year-old Luis Javier Holguin and 33-year-old George Gonzalez for allegedly shooting 57-year-old Raul Turabeates. Police received the call Friday at around 10 p.m. about a suspicious person with a gun at the motel. An officer who was nearby heard the gunshots and saw a Nissan Altima leaving the area. The officer told the driver to stop, but the driver refused and led police on a chase. The car eventually stopped near Ryan and Monterey, where 3 people got out of the car and ran away. Police were able to arrest Holguin and Abregon, and meanwhile, Gonzalez was eventually arrested at his home near the 300 block of Olive Street. While there's no word on what led up to the shooting, police believe that all 4 men knew each other.
In this particular case, we really don't go too much into motives until it gets to court, but it wasn't some sort of a random thing. The perpetrators and the victim did know each other through what relationship they had, but they were known to each other. So for right now, it's still kind of an ongoing process, collecting a lot of evidence, but they did find a lot of pieces of evidence.
LPD adds that Turubiates was shot twice in the upper body and once in the leg. He reportedly died from his injuries. All 3 men were charged with murder. A man is facing multiple charges for allegedly driving drunk with 4 children in an SUV. Laredo police arrested 34-year-old Martin Javier Flores and charged him with DWI, evading arrest with a vehicle, 2 counts of resisting arrest, and 4 counts of endangering a child. According to police, it happened on Saturday around 3:30 a.m. when officers pulled over a white Honda Pilot that was seen driven without lights near Willow Street and Meadow Avenue. Police say Flores appeared to be driving under the influence and had 4 kids, ages 5, 7, 10, and 11, inside the car with him. Flores who also had an outstanding warrant for possession of marijuana out of Webb County Sheriff's Office. Child Protective Services was notified about the case. In other news, in preparation for the runoff elections in May, Webb County's elections administrator came before Commissioner's Court this morning to get approval for early voting sites. The election sites were narrowed down from 11 to 7. For Precinct 1 in South Laredo, the Rio Bravo early voting site will be closed. Replacing it will be the Laredo College South Campus. According to the Webb County elections administrator, not all precincts in Webb County are expected to have a runoff election, making it unnecessary to have as many sites open. Core election sites such as Billy Hall, the City Hall Annex, and the Laredo Fire Department on Del Mar will remain open. Early voting for the runoff elections will begin on May 20th and continue through the 24th. For more information on where to vote, head on over to KGNS.TV. Coming up, we've got more coverage on the Great American Eclipse, how some eclipse enthusiasts managed to soar above the clouds for an unforgettable view. That story next. With clouds threatening to block the view of today's eclipse in certain areas, some people opted to go above the clouds. They boarded special Path of Totality flights offered by commercial airlines. Delta Flight 1010 flew from Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport to Detroit. The trip included special turns in totality for passengers to see the eclipse's so-called diamond ring out of the plane's 14-inch windows. As of this morning, the flight was nearly sold out, with only main cabin aisle and middle seats available at the cost of $950.
Unfortunately, here in Dallas, where we are today, there's quite a bit of low cloud cover, so it might hinder the eclipse experience for the people here in Dallas. But fortunately, we're going to be in an airplane. We'll be able to get above all this very quickly and very easily, and we're just hoping that we can stay clear of the clouds at flight level today.
Delta's other Path of Totality flight took off from Austin. Both flights were scheduled to arrive in Detroit simultaneously, followed by a party at the gate. United and Southwest Airlines offered similar flights as well.
Good evening. We're just about to leave Eagle Pass after just a wonderful day. We lucked out and got to see the eclipse in totality, at least part of the totality. I can't get there in time for the 5 or 6, so that's why we're doing this in Eagle Pass. It's in the mid-80s at this point, southeasterly winds at 13, and you notice that dew point is 68. It is rather moist. We have the high clouds that I was concerned about. You can see them streaming out of the Pacific across Mexico into our skies. And that dimmed our view of the sun, but it wasn't thick enough to block the view. And at the same time, the moist air associated with those high dew points in the lower atmosphere, we had a solid cloud deck mid and late morning, but then we were able to stir somewhat drier air from above that layer of moist air, and some of those low clouds mixed away, and that allowed us to get a view of the eclipse. Right now it's in the 80s across the area. It is moist. Dew points are in the upper 60s, even 70-degree dew points in Jim Hogg and Duval County. Kind of breezy southeasterly winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So as we go through tonight, I'm expecting a humid night, partly cloudy but becoming mainly cloudy late tonight. Humid temperatures in the low to mid 70s, and as we go through the 7-day period, can't rule out an isolated shower at the end of tonight, but the better chance would be at the end of Tuesday night or first thing Wednesday. I'm showing that 35% chance at the end of Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and after the mid to high 90s at tomorrow. Cooler, drier air, still warm though, 80s in the afternoon, Wednesday, Thursday, low 60s at night. Then it's back to the 90-degree warmth, and by Sunday and Monday, we'll be in the mid to upper 90s. Back to the news desk.
Thanks, Heatwave. Well, we have the soccer season come to an end, and now the awards rolling out. Find out who's bringing home the honors in District 36A for the girls. That's next in sports.
From the gridiron to the links, it's time for KGNS Sports.
With the soccer season in the rearview mirrors, the awards are rolling out. Tonight, all about the girls of District 36A, and it should come as a little surprise to United's Valeria Maldonado named the most valuable player in the district. The Longhorn did a little bit of everything for her team, finding the back of the net 8 times in district play while being a do-it-all force for the 36A champs. The rest of the individual award winners see 4 more from Laredo schools. South's Millie Garcia named one of the forwards of the year after she scores 15 goals for the Panthers. Daniela Madrigal from United is your top defensive player, while South's Allison Rodriguez tabbed as the newcomer of the year, with Garcia also bringing home the Golden Boot Award. Taking a look at the All-District First Team, 11 from the Gateway City. Alexander, it's Paulette Mongeron and Carolina Sanchez. LBJ places Catalina Martinez and Carolina Peña. 4 more from United make the cut. Regina Baldazo, Samantha Teos, Victoria Garza, and Vanessa Romero are all named. And last but not least, a trio from United South with Mia Flores, Hillary Garcia, and Emily Ramos all earning first team honors. Congrats to all those named on their great work this past season. Up to the major leagues as the Astros and Rangers look to close out their series tonight. Not good news for Houston as their opening day starter gets scratched. Framber Valdez was supposed to take them out tonight, but he's been sidelined because of soreness in his left elbow. The 30-year-old was playing catch yesterday when he told manager Joe Espada about the soreness. As of now, the Astros don't think it's serious enough to put Valdez on the injured list, but they did call up Blair Henley from AAA to get the start tonight. It's been a rough start to the 2024 season for the Astros. They've gone just 3-7 with 1 more game in Arlington before heading off to Kansas City tomorrow. We finished with the biggest event of the day, coinciding with the biggest sports event of the week. It's a Masters set to get started. That kicked off today with practice rounds, and yet had people, at least for a couple of minutes, looking to the sky rather than the greens. Even the players getting ready for one of the biggest tournaments of the year weren't immune from the natural phenomenon.
Timed up pretty good. We get to watch the end of the world at Augusta National, right?
I found a couple of Masters Eclipse glasses, which I will be keeping those for absolutely the rest of my life. Those will be some collectibles that'll be in my office forever.
Is it getting better?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. About a quarter. What a quarter. Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Now that the eclipse has passed, all eyes will return to ground level. The first round at Augusta teeing off on Thursday. That's a look at sports this evening. Stay with us though. KGNS News will be right back.
KGNS News mobile app. Get up-to-date local and national news stories, along with weather warnings and alerts, and the latest sports stories and highlights all at your fingertips. The KGNS News mobile app on Google Play and Apple Store.
We'll take a look at this. No special glasses needed. Lines formed out the door for solar eclipse style conchas this morning at Quickie Bakery. The red and black conchas helped kick off the historic day for Laredoans looking to mark the occasion with a very sweet tooth. How cool is that? Well, before we go, we're gonna just be sure to check in with Heatwave tonight on KGNS News. Have a good evening, everyone.